The cafe buzzed softly with the low hum of conversations, the rhythmic clinking of utensils on porcelain, and the occasional hiss of the espresso machine. Sunlight streamed through the large glass windows, bathing the neatly arranged tables in a warm golden hue. Caleb Foster sat across from Vanessa Brooks, calmly sipping his black coffee. His demeanor was quiet, patient, and unwavering, a man who had already made up his mind. He could tell Vanessa hadn't. She sighed, her perfectly manicured fingers tracing the rim of her cappuccino cup. "I just need time to figure out what I want," she said, her tone nearly pleading. But Caleb heard the hidden truth behind her words. She wanted to explore her options while keeping him as a backup plan. He didn't argue, nor did he beg her to stay. Instead, he leaned back in his chair and studied her with an air of calm detachment. Her auburn hair was perfectly styled, her skin flawless, and her confidence unshaken. She carried herself as though she knew Caleb would always be there, waiting for her when she was ready. For a long time, he had been exactly that, the devoted boyfriend, the patient man who let her take the lead. But not anymore. He took another sip of his coffee, savoring its bitterness before setting the cup down with deliberate calm. "All right," he said simply. Vanessa blinked, caught off guard. "All right?" she repeated, her voice tinged with confusion. Caleb shrugged. "Take all the time you need." Her lips parted slightly, confusion flashing in her dark eyes. She had expected resistance, a fight, maybe a grand gesture to convince her to stay. But Caleb gave her none of that. She crossed her arms, leaning forward slightly. "I mean, I don't want to break up or anything. I just want options." Caleb finished her thought for her. "You don't want to settle too soon." A faint blush crept up her neck, but she lifted her chin defiantly. "Exactly. I think it's fair to explore. I don't want to look back and wonder if I missed out on something." Caleb nodded as if he understood. Maybe a younger, more naive version of him would have been hurt by this, but at 32, he had learned a hard truth. When someone asks for space, they rarely expect you to actually give it to them. "I get it," he said, reaching for his phone. Vanessa watched him with mild suspicion as he tapped a few times on the screen. A moment later, her phone vibrated on the table. She frowned, picking it up. "You blocked me." Caleb drained the last of his coffee and stood up, pulling his wallet from his pocket. He placed a crisp $20 bill on the table, enough to cover both their drinks. "I'm giving you exactly what you asked for, Vanessa," he said, slipping his wallet back into his pocket. "All the time in the world." She stared at him, stunned. "You're seriously blocking me?" Just like that. A slow smirk curved his lips, but there was no warmth in his eyes. "No hard feelings," he said. "But I don't do second place." Before Vanessa could protest, Caleb turned and walked out of the cafe without a second glance. She sat frozen, staring at the empty space he had left behind. For the first time, she realized she had overplayed her hand. At first, Vanessa wasn't worried. She told herself that Caleb was just being dramatic, that his act of cutting her off was temporary, just a moment of bruised ego. He'd come around, like he always did. Caleb wasn't the type to disappear completely. He was steady, predictable, always checking in after an argument. So she waited. The first week passed, and she kept an eye on her notifications, expecting his name to pop up with a simple "hey," or "thinking about you." But nothing came. By the second week, curiosity turned into mild annoyance. She tried to view his profile, only to see user not found. Confused, she checked Instagram and Facebook, blocked there too. A small, irritated huff escaped her lips. Was he really going to be this childish about it? She wasn't worried, yet. By the third week, she started checking places where she knew Caleb might be. The gym they used to go to together, the bar where he played pool with his friends. But Caleb was nowhere to be seen. She casually asked one of his buddies if he'd been around lately. The guy just shrugged. "Oh, Caleb? Haven't seen him much. Think he's been traveling." Traveling? That was new. Vanessa frowned as she scrolled to her alternate Instagram account, the one Caleb hadn't blocked. His profile was public, but there wasn't much to see. A picture of him at a rooftop lounge, drink in hand. Another of him on a tropical beach, shirtless, Sunglasses on, looking better than she remembered. He looked good, relaxed, unbothered. She scrolled through the comments. Women were flirting with him. And the worst part was Kayla was responding. A tight, unfamiliar feeling curled in her stomach. By the 5th week, Vanessa did something she had never done before. She called him. Her fingers hovered over the dial button for a moment before she finally pressed it. She expected it to go straight to voicemail. It didn't. The line rang once, twice. Her pulse quickened. Then a robotic voice. The number you're trying to reach is no longer in service. A sinking feeling spread through her chest. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Caleb was supposed to get over his little tantrum and reach out. He was supposed to miss her, to wonder. But as she sat there, staring at her phone, Vanessa realized something she had never considered before. Caleb wasn't coming back. Vanessa had always believed she could do better. She had put Caleb on hold, thinking the grass might be greener elsewhere. But as the weeks turned into months, she began to realize how wrong she had been. The men she pursued turned out to be nothing like Caleb. Mike, the charming flirt, was actually a player juggling multiple women. Tyler, who seemed sweet at first, lacked ambition and direction. One by one, they all proved to be temporary, fleeting, and nothing like the stability Caleb had offered. It wasn't until she lost him that she started to notice the little things she had taken for granted. The way Caleb always made sure she got home safely, even when she insisted she didn't need him to. How he paid attention to her moods, bringing her a latte from her favorite cafe when she was stressed, without her even asking. He never played games, never made her guess where she stood. He was steady, reliable, and always there, until he wasn't. By the 3rd month, Vanessa could no longer lie to herself. Caleb wasn't coming back. At first, she had convinced herself he was just being stubborn, trying to teach her a lesson by staying silent. But deep down, she knew the truth. He was gone, and the realization terrified her. One evening, she sat alone in her apartment, staring at her phone. The last text she had sent him weeks ago still showed as delivered, but there was no response. She had checked the social media earlier that day and saw a new post. Caleb at a rooftop restaurant, dressed sharply in a tailored blazer, his arm casually draped around a woman. Not just any woman. Hannah Reed. Vanessa's stomach churned as she clicked on Hannah's profile. She was effortlessly beautiful. The kind of woman who didn't need filters or selfies to prove her worth. Her confidence was quiet, natural, and unforced. In the comments, Hannah had written, "A night to remember," and Caleb had replied, "More to come." Vanessa's throat tightened. He had never been one to flaunt their relationship online, but with Hannah, he was different. He was showing up in a way he never had for her. Vanessa set her phone down, rubbing her temples. The regret gnawed at her. She had been so sure Caleb would always be there, waiting in the wings, no matter how long it took for her to decide. But now, she was the one left behind. Her hands trembled as she typed out a message. "Caleb, I miss you. Can we talk?" She stared at the screen, her heart pounding, but the typing bubble never appeared. Minutes turned into hours, and still there was nothing. The cold reality settled over her. She had expected Caleb to be her safety net, the one who would always be there if her other options didn't work out. But instead, she was the one left behind. Vanessa had always been the one in control, the one who decided when to respond, when to leave someone waiting, when to make them regret losing her. But now, for the first time, she understood what it felt like to be forgotten. Hours passed, then a full day. Still, there was no response from Caleb. Her pride told her to let it go, to pretend she hadn't sent that message. But the anxiety in her chest wouldn't let her. She needed to talk to him, to hear his voice, to find some way to undo what she had done. She scrolled through their old photos together, dinner dates, weekend getaways, candid moments of her laughing. Caleb had always been the one to take photos, not to post them, but to keep them. He used to say he liked remembering the little things. Had he deleted them all? Had he erased her as easily as he had blocked her? Before she could second-guess herself, she typed another message. "Caleb, please, I just want to talk." This time, she didn't even get the chance to wait. The message turned blue for a second, indicating it had been delivered. And then it turned gray. He had seen it and decided instantly that she wasn't worth a response. Her heart sank. This couldn't be happening. She had lost him, and he had erased her without a second thought. Panic set in. She tried to check his Instagram, but his profile was gone. She tried to call, but the line didn't even ring. It was as though he had disappeared from her life completely, except she knew he hadn't. He was still out there, living his life just without her. For the first time in a long time, Vanessa felt powerless. She had always believed she was irreplaceable, that men would always orbit around her, waiting for her to choose them. But Caleb had walked away without hesitation, and he didn't even look back. Tears burned at the corners of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wasn't the kind of woman who cried over a man. But then again, Caleb had never been just any man, and now he was gone forever. The silence in her apartment pressed down on her like a weight. Outside, the city was alive, cars honking, people laughing, but none of it reached her. All she could hear was the emptiness where Caleb used to be. She had never thought it would end like this. Caleb wasn't supposed to be the one to move on first. She had assumed he would linger in the background, waiting for her to realize he was what she truly wanted. But now, 3 months later, the reality was painfully clear. She wasn't in control anymore. She had tried everything, texting, calling, even reaching out to mutual friends. But everyone said the same thing. Caleb's doing great. He's traveling, dating someone new. He seems happier than ever. Happier than ever. The words cut deeper than she wanted to admit. One night, against a better judgment, she found herself parked outside the bar they used to go to, the one where Caleb would let her steal fries from his plate without complaint. She wasn't proud of it, but she needed to see him, just once, to confirm he was really gone. And that's when she saw them. Caleb was sitting at a corner table, his arm resting comfortably around Hannah. She was laughing, her head tilted slightly toward him, and he was looking at her the way he used to look at Vanessa, like she was the only person in the room, like he was exactly where he wanted to be. Vanessa's stomach twisted, but she forced herself to watch. Hannah wasn't trying too hard. She wasn't clinging to Caleb's arm or constantly checking to see who was looking at her. She was just there, effortlessly comfortable, without a trace of insecurity. And Caleb, he was the same. Relaxed, confident, happy. The finality of it hit Vanessa like a brick. He wasn't coming back. He had given her all the space she had asked for, but not in the way she had expected. Instead of waiting for her to decide, he had taken her at her word. He had let her go. And now, she had no one to blame but herself. Vanessa turned away before either of them could see her. For the first time in her life, she was the one left behind.